Good afternoon, everybody. I'm very pleased indeed, on behalf of the High Commissioner for Refugees and all of my colleagues, to welcome you to this high-level panel on statelessness. I've been very much looking forward to this session, and it's coming at a good time in terms of the 3 days that we've been all meeting together, because we now want to talk about how we move from the pledges to results and implementation. It's really the critical question. And indeed, as you all know, this is really the moment of truth for the value of the compact, because we had 1,700 pledges 4 years ago. We need to know how all of this has really worked in practice, and that is really what we're here to discuss today. I think in this company, I don't need to remind you of quite how important the question of statelessness is and the importance of nationality. We know that without legal identity, people are highly restricted in terms of access to basic rights and services, education, healthcare, employment, and very particularly matters that appear to be small, but the right to travel. Somebody without identity can't get on a bus. They can't do anything without being at risk, in some countries in particular, of being arrested, detained, because they simply don't have these basic rights. I think what's been exciting is that 9 years ago, in 2014, UNHCR launched the I Belong campaign, fueled by a collective resolve to end statelessness, a grand objective, an enormous objective, because we don't actually know how many stateless people there are. They're invisible for most purposes. So it was a big objective, but one that we knew we could make a contribution to because it's doable. It's something that we can actually achieve. So today we've got the opportunity to reflect on what has been achieved, to look at new commitments, and in the second part of this event, we're going to introduce you to a new multi-stakeholder initiative, the Global Alliance to End Statelessness, which will be officially launched for next year. So what I'd like to do very briefly, because we have some wonderful people to hear from, is to make a few very quick remarks about the progress that I think has been made on statelessness. And I'd like to, of course, recognise those states that have done such important work in helping us all meet these objectives. Firstly, of course, there have been much stronger legal frameworks to address statelessness in all parts of the world. An obvious one, the one that, of course, we're very aware of, is the removal or the need to remove gender discrimination. And we've had real progress. Just last year, Liberia became the third country to reform its legislation in granting women and men equal rights in passing on their nationality to their children. If you don't have that right, it's a huge impediment. And a few years earlier, Madagascar and Sierra Leone took that step. But it remains true that 24 countries still deny women the opportunity to confer their nationality on their children on an equal basis with men. And we call urgently on those 24 states to expedite their efforts to bring those laws into line with international law. We also see the introduction of key safeguards to protect against the possibility of statelessness. A key area of progress towards those safeguards is in the area of nationality laws to prevent childhood statelessness, to ensure registration, which is a critical element. They're consistent, of course, with the 1961 Convention on the Reduction of Statelessness and are vitally important. If all countries were to take that step, statelessness could virtually be ended within a generation. And since 2014, I'm very pleased to say that 15 states have introduced one or more of these legal safeguards, granting nationality to children born on the territory if they would otherwise be stateless or be foundlings. And this is, of course, a critical part of the Convention rights. We also see legal frameworks being developed to protect people who are stateless. A proliferation of states, many states, have adopted frameworks to protect stateless people, and I'd like particularly to mention in the Americas. In that region, a regional push has significantly shifted the needle when it comes to access to basic rights and services for people who are stateless. I can mention in particular the Brazil Declaration and the Plan of Action and subsequently resolutions of the Organization of American States, growing regional momentum that has resulted in 9 states adopting dedicated legal frameworks to protect people displaced. 8 countries in the Americas now have operational statelessness determination procedures, and that's a very big step forward, so thank you very much to them. Can I also mention that several states have made progress in resolving situations of statelessness? Since the start of the campaign, 480 formerly stateless people have been granted nationality, 480,000, I should say, much more positive, and had their nationality confirmed. It did occur to me when I was thinking about this, what we can say has been improvements is that we don't know the number of people who are stateless. It's always been hard, always difficult to speak with accuracy, but we can speak with accuracy when we know that people have actually been given nationality. And that's why I've got to be right about that figure. 480,000 formerly stateless people granted nationality or had their nationality confirmed. In 2019, we were able to celebrate the achievement of Kyrgyzstan, which had resolved all known cases of statelessness within its territory. And one of the protagonists for this achievement is with us today, and we'll be hearing from him in the second half of this event. Other countries have also made some significant steps, and one of them, of course, is Kenya. It's granted nationality to a number of stateless minority groups and will be on track and is on track to resolve the situation of others. Iraq has confirmed the nationality of a number of stateless people and others at risk of statelessness. And at the same time, however, it's true to say that the pace of reductions has actually slowed down. And in 2022, only 39% of the reduction figure of 2021 was actually obtained. So there's a lot more work to be done. We need a concerted effort, and we need these examples of best practice that we clearly have. Well, finally then, the I Belong campaign has led to a global political awareness and a commitment to addressing statelessness. We understand it much more. The media has picked up the issue. We've seen films and documentaries and stories that amplify just what the practical impacts are of a denial of access to statehood. We've seen a steady increase in the number of accessions to the 1954 Convention relating to the status of stateless persons, and in 1961, of course, also in relation to that convention on the reduction of statelessness. Since 2014, 14 states have acceded to the 54 Convention, bringing the total number of states party to that convention to 97. That's very significant, and we see that as a very major advantage. Now, more than half of all the UN member states are party to that critical 1954 Convention. 18 states have now acceded to the 61 Convention, bringing the total to 79. And the Republic of Congo became the latest country to accede to both conventions in October this year. So well done to Congo. The momentum of the I Belong campaign became especially evident at the midpoint in 2019, which was marked by the high-level segment on statelessness. At this event and at the GRF, a remarkable total of 418 pledges were made by various entities, including states, international and regional organizations, and of course civil society and NGOs. Many of these pledges have been implemented, and that is critical. And we're optimistic that this second GRF will continue to build on the positive momentum. So with those, I hope, brief remarks, we're now going to hear from the number of representatives of states, regional organizations and NGOs, all consistently, of course, with that fundamental obligation or aspiration of the compact itself, to broaden the notion of shared responsibility for refugees and stateless people to a wider society. And that, I think, we've seen real advances in over the last 4 years. But now it's my very great pleasure to hand over to my esteemed colleague that I haven't had a chance to talk to, although we've passed in the corridors, Ted Chibin. He is an Assistant Secretary General for the United Nations. He's also the Deputy Executive Director of the Humanitarian Action and Supply Operations at UNICEF, and we're going to hear about UNICEF's actions. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Jillian. And it's a pleasure to be here as part of this family to end statelessness. I think we all agree in this room that no child should be stateless, and that children who are stateless are among the most excluded and vulnerable, and at risk of being systematically left behind in an era where we promised all that no one should be left behind. Since 2017, UNICEF and UNHCR have co-led a coalition on every child's right to nationality as part of the I Belong campaign. And in 2019, at the high-level segment to end statelessness, UNICEF pledged to enhance global capacity to tackle childhood statelessness. To realize this pledge, we've put our resources forward, firstly to achieve universal birth registration to prevent statelessness. And I'm quite glad that over the last 5 years, we've supported the registration of 170 million births globally. Second, to advocate for the removal of sex discrimination in civil registration and nationality laws. There are still, as we know, 24 countries where mothers are unable to confer nationality to their children on an equal basis with men. I grew up in one of those countries, Lebanon. And third, to support government and civil society capacities at the country level to prevent and end childhood statelessness. UNICEF and UNHCR have supported the development of 20 joint national strategies to reduce the risk of childhood statelessness. And we've partnered with the Institute on Statelessness and Inclusion to publish an online course on childhood statelessness and child rights. So as we stand here today to further our commitment to end statelessness, UNICEF is making 3 pledges to end childhood statelessness. First, we commit to become a member of the new Global Alliance to End Statelessness, to be launched next year, and to lead the Global Alliance's thematic working group to end childhood statelessness as part of that alliance. We're committed, thank you. We're committed to secure every child's right to a nationality starting from birth and to prevent statelessness later in life, regardless of a child and the parent's gender, legal status, or lack of legal identity. No child should be left behind. Second, UNICEF commits to pursuing joint advocacy at national, regional, and global level to end childhood statelessness in partnership with HCR and as a member of the Global Alliance to End Statelessness. Our advocacy efforts will focus on removing sex discrimination in nationality laws and civil registration laws, promoting universal birth registration to prevent statelessness, encouraging states to accede to the 1954 Convention relating to the status of stateless persons and the 1961 Convention on the reduction of statelessness, and advocating for the protection of stateless children and their access to basic services, including healthcare and education. And third, we commit to increase joint programmatic collaboration with UNHCR and other members of the Global Alliance to End Statelessness, including civil society and stateless-led organizations, many in the room here today, in at least 10 countries to accelerate progress towards ending childhood statelessness. Friends, statelessness affects millions worldwide. As Jillian said, we don't know exactly the numbers, but millions. Every year, more stateless children are born than the number of stateless persons who actually succeed in acquiring a nationality. Inherited statelessness persists in many nations, creating a cycle of poverty, exclusion, and discrimination that spans generations. The clock is ticking. We are in the 4th year of the decade of action, with just 6 years to achieve our ambitious agenda with a commitment to leave no one behind. We commend the states that are pledging to end statelessness and joining the new global alliance. We commend the Philippines and Côte d'Ivoire for taking the step to show leadership by joining the Solution Seeker program of the Global Alliance. Let's work together to turn our pledges into real action, and let's end statelessness. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ted, very much. And you really have made the very strong case that we have to start with ensuring that children are registered at birth. Otherwise, we have yet more generations. And I think the point we've learned, I've certainly learned in the last few years, is it's one thing to achieve an end to statelessness within your country, but it's eternal vigilance, because a year later or a year after that, you've got another group coming forward that we know as stateless. So thank you very much indeed for your work. Well, what we're going to do now is to hear from member states, and they're going to make their pledges. I do ask you to keep to a minute and a half so we can get through everybody and ensure it's as inclusive as possible. But can I ask then for us to start with Mr. Falah Hassan Shandi, who is head of the legal department at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for the government of Iraq.
السلام عليكم السادة الحضور. اسمحوا لي أن أنقل تحيات وتمنيات دولة السيد محمد الشيع السوداني رئيس وزراء العراق ومعالي السيد عبد الأمير الشمري وزير الداخلية. كما أود أن أعرب عن خالص أمنياتي لهذه الدعوة الكريمة وبصفتي أحد أعضاء الوفد العراقي المشارك بالمؤتمر وكوني رئيس لجنة إعداد مسودة قانون اللاجئين الجديد في جمهورية العراق. فرصة طيبة لنا أن نكون بينكم لتحقيق عالم خالي من انعدام الجنسية. ينقسم رؤية العراق إلى شقين: نعمل باتخاذ خطوات حالات انعدام الجنسية بين الأشخاص المعروفين عديمي الجنسية الذين يحق لهم الحصول على الجنسية العراقية، وهذه الخطوات هي لتعديل قانون الجنسية لدينا لجعله يتماشى مع المعايير الدولية. حتى الآن قمنا بتقديم التسهيلات بإجراء الدراسات لرسم الخرائط الشاملة لتحديد السكان عديم الجنسية في المواقع، واتخذنا إجراءات مصممة خصيصا لحل غالبية هذه الحالات. وبينما أنا أتكلم الآن نعمل على التأكد من جنسية مجموعة من أفراد من عشيرتي الجويان والعمرية، وبمجرد معالجة جميع الحالات انعدام الجنسية المعروفة في العراق سيتم حلها. بالإضافة إلى ذلك قمنا حتى الآن بتأسيس لجنة خبراء مخصصة لتعديل قانون الجنسية لدينا، وبمجرد تعديله سيحقق القانون المساواة الكاملة بين الرجل والمرأة، وسيضع ضمانات فعالة لمنع حالات انعدام الجنسية في المستقبل، وملتزمون بإنهاء حالات انعدام الجنسية. نعرب عن تمنياتنا الطيبة لجميع المشاركين لعمل هذا المنتدى العالمي، وشكرا.
Thank you very much indeed for your very precise and very important announcement. Can we now move to Ms. Dominika Marold-Meyer, who's the Secretary of the Ministry of the Interior for the Government of Slovenia. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Slovenia welcomes the activities of the UNHCR under the I Belong campaign. In Slovenia, statelessness is regulated by the current Citizenship Act and the 1954 Convention relating to the status of stateless persons, which has been ratified by Slovenia. We believe that we have built into national system the elements to prevent statelessness recommended by the Convention, contributing to ending statelessness worldwide. And because we want to regulate the right to citizenship in a comprehensive manner, we are today announcing Slovenia's accession to the 1961 Convention. Thank you. The Slovenian government is committed to the protection of human rights and fundamental freedoms without exception. One of the most important rights is the right to citizenship. Ratification of the 1961 Convention will ensure that no child in Slovenia is born stateless, which would be a step forward toward the ultimate goal of eradicating statelessness globally, as addressed by the UNHCR in its campaign. The amended legal provision in the Slovenian Act will provide for the possibility of acquisition of citizenship for children born in the Republic of Slovenia to parents whose citizenship is known, but under the law of the parent's country, the children cannot acquire their citizenship and would therefore remain stateless. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Meyer. That really is adding, of course, to that growing number of community of states that are supporting the conventions. Thank you very much indeed. Can we move now to Ms. Carmen Lopez Garcia? She is the Director General of Internal Policy, Minister of the Interior from the Government of Spain. Thank you very much indeed.
Good afternoon. I'm proud to say that Spain's approach to statelessness developed over the last 22 years. I can say with great satisfaction that our country complies with international standards in this field. Therefore, I can say that statelessness is a key element in the protection and promotion of human rights in Spain. In addition, Spain, like other countries, also has a specific procedure for the recognition of stateless status. A robust system provided with specific guarantees that the Ministry of Interior manages through the Asylum and Refugee Office. This channel has allowed Spain to process this type of very specific application with independence of others, including the recognition of international protection. Before concluding, I would like to state that we are faced with the challenge to update the current national regulation to improve it. This is one of our commitments. The challenges we face, therefore, are great, and the responses must, of course, be conceived not only at the European level, but also at the global level. For that, we consider essential to join the Global Alliance to End Statelessness as other of our commitments. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia, and that gives us hope, of course. We have the Global Alliance to move on to, and it's wonderful that you're going to be part of it. Thank you very much indeed. Can we now move to Ms. Anjali Duangkyo, who is the Director of the Internal Security Division of the Office of National Security for the Government of Thailand. Thank you.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Thailand has long been active in resolving statelessness. Since 1992, over 300,000 stateless persons have been granted Thai nationality. A national strategy on administration of legal status and rights of persons has been established since 2005, and I am proud to say that more than 90% of stateless persons in Thailand are registered in the civil registration system. This has enabled them to access to basic services such as education, healthcare, and health coverage. All children born in Thailand can also access to birth registration. However, gaps remain in implementation. Therefore, Thailand pledges to develop within 2 years a national action plan to resolve statelessness, with priority given to stateless children born in the country. We will review existing law and regulation in order to facilitate access to legal resident nationality and civil rights, and improve the online system for nationality application. And as a founding member of the group of Friends of the I Belong campaign, Thailand is pleased to be joining the Global Alliance to End Statelessness. Our pledge aims to improve the situation on the ground, rally more support from private sector and civil society to tackle problems at the local and national level, and at the same time to continue to advocate ending statelessness around the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, and thank you for mentioning and being part of the group of friends. They've really been stalwarts over these last 9 years. They've made a big difference bringing in member states to support. So thank you very much indeed. Can we move to Mr. Daniel Steele, who is the head of Refugee and Displacement Policy for the Government of the United Kingdom?
Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, the UK is proud to announce our support of the Ending Statelessness Multi-Stakeholder Pledge and becoming a member of the Global Alliance to End Statelessness. We support the vision of a world free from statelessness so everybody enjoys the right to nationality without discrimination. Our focus is on two of the root causes of statelessness. Firstly, tackling gender discrimination. The UK is committed to gender equality and protection from gender-based violence. Statelessness, as we've heard, has a disproportionate effect on women. 24 countries do not allow women to pass on their citizenship on an equal basis to men. We will advocate for national law reform in these states and explore what assistance we can provide, including to grassroots women's rights organisations. The second area is ethnic discrimination. There is an estimated 10 million stateless people worldwide, 2 million of which are Rohingya, the single largest stateless population, and this number is increasing. We know the long-term solution must be the safe, voluntary and dignified return of the Rohingya to Rakhine State once conditions allow. We remain committed to achieving this, and yesterday we announced a further £7 million of humanitarian assistance for the Rohingya response this financial year as part of joining the Rohingya Multi-Stakeholder Pledge. We will continue to provide a platform for Rohingya voices to ensure they are shaping their own future. Statelessness can be ended, and we look forward to working with you all to make this a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Steele, on behalf of the United Kingdom. That's a series of very, very important pledges. But of course, you make the point that is so crucial. If we look at root causes for displacement, the denial of nationality to the Rohingya people has been fundamental over many, many decades. We see the outcome of the policies. Can we now move to Ms. Becky Kinsey, who's the Deputy Director of PRM, the United States PRM Office of Policy and Resource Planning for the Government of the United States. Thank you.
Thanks very much and good afternoon. It's really invigorating to hear about the commitments of many in this room to advancing this common vision of ending statelessness. For the US government, ending statelessness is about respect for human rights. The right to a nationality is enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and that should mean something. Moreover, statelessness is also an issue of equity and inclusion. Combating statelessness is often about combating discrimination, racial, ethnic, and religious discrimination, as well as discrimination against women, as it's experienced in nationality laws and procedures. And so I especially want to express participation for the work done by advocates that have gotten us as far as we have today that speak from a lived experience of statelessness. I'm pleased to have the opportunity to speak about what the United States is doing in this area as well. We're happy to announce 2 new statelessness pledges here at the Global Refugee Forum. First, we look forward to becoming a member of the Global Alliance to End Statelessness, which we view as an essential platform to continue our collective efforts to prevent and respond to statelessness worldwide. Second, we are committed to expanding our advocacy around inclusion of stateless persons in statistics, with the aim of improving both statelessness data and the inclusion of stateless persons in statistics. This includes support to the international recommendations in statelessness statistics and the World Bank UNHCR Joint Data Center on Forced Displacement. In closing, we look forward to working collaboratively with everyone here and through the Global Alliance to End Statelessness. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the United States, that I'd have to say has been a steadfast supporter and advocate for all the efforts amongst all of you to end statelessness. But you, of course, mentioned in particular the importance of the Joint Data Center with the World Bank. As we've all really acknowledged and will continue to acknowledge, we just don't have the numbers. But in time, I think with the work of the Joint Data Center and collection of data by National Statistics Office, we will be in a better position to understand the dimension of the problem, but also what's working and how those numbers can improve. Can I now turn to representatives of organizations who themselves have been very strong advocates for making their own pledges. And one, of course, is Chris Nash, who is the director of the European Network on Statelessness. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Assistant High Commissioner, and I could probably use my full 90 seconds just to acknowledge your great champion role on statelessness. I won't, but thank you for that and for being so generous. And wishing you all the best in your next endeavours. For those of you not familiar, my organisation, the European Network on Statelessness, is a civil society alliance with over 100 member organisations in 40 European countries. We are honoured to be part of the task force set up to advise on the formation of the Global Alliance to End Statelessness and to commend UNHCR for the multi-stakeholder and inclusive approach it has taken to this initiative, which was also epitomised by a GRF-linked event organised by many organisations here on Tuesday. In terms of my organisation, we are making 4 pledges. Firstly, to join the Global Alliance and to lend the weight of our members across Europe to support its efforts. Secondly, and I think perhaps most importantly, we have submitted a joint pledge along with 2 of our member organisations, State Free and the Apatrid Network, who are also present. And we are going to collaborate to co-develop best practice models for working in partnership with stateless individuals and communities. And we will do these best practice models in 3 areas: law and policy, awareness raising, and capacity building. And we are determined that this will result in more equal-footed partnerships, and so that stateless people can claim power as leaders of change. Our 3rd pledge, recognizing there is a common failure to properly identify statelessness in Europe, is to, in at least 10 countries, to develop and disseminate identification toolkits to improve the identification and protection of stateless people. And we believe that this will not only enhance, but also achieve more harmonized identification standards and ultimately lead to improved routes to protection for stateless people. And fourthly and finally, recognizing the crucial role of the courts in ensuring that state law and practice is in line with international commitments, we will commit by 2027 to grow our statelessness case law database to cover at least 600 case summaries, and in so doing, hope to ensure strong law and policy reform, which is at the heart of what the Global Alliance is trying to achieve. To do this, we will need partners, we will need donors, so if you'd like to get involved, we're at www.statelessness.eu. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, and I know that your efforts really deserve support. Great that you mentioned the role of the courts, the importance of the judicial system and litigation. It really does matter. It's slower, it's costly, don't always get the right result, but very often you do. And that kind of best practice and case summaries is going to be very important, I think, for other jurisdictions. Can we move now to Dr. Carmen Koechlin, who is the Vice President of the Latin American and Caribbean Council on Civil Registration and Vital Statistics. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Receive greetings from the Latin American and Caribbean Council of Civil Registry, Identity and Vital Statistics, CLARCIEF, International Organization of Civil Registries and Identification Registries in Latin America and the Caribbean. Considering our missions, CLARCIEF undertakes to promote the strengthening and digitization of civil registry and protect the right to identity, guaranteeing universal registration and obtaining birth certificates and identification cards for vulnerable populations, considering migrants and refugees. Support the I Belong campaign and regional initiatives aimed at preventing and resolving statelessness in line with the Global Plan of Action to End Statelessness. Promote the implementation of the International Recommendation on Statelessness Statistics developed by the United Nations Statistical Commission in March 2023. Be part of the Global Alliance to End Statelessness and join the Solution Search Program to prevent and respond to statelessness. Promote a regional guideline to guarantee access to late birth registration and the granting of identity documents to prove the nationality. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Koechlin, and thank you for mentioning the importance of digitalization. I think we can make great progress because we have accurate information through civil registration, easily accessed by others, and can help us understand the problem and what's needed. So thank you very much. And can we now move to Mitra Jalali, who is the Senior Legal Advisor with the Office of OSCE's High Commissioner on National Minorities. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the OSCE High Commissioner on National Minorities, the HCNM, and our sister organization, the Office for Democratic Institutions and Human Rights, ODIHR, I would like to thank the 5 co-convening states, Colombia, France, Japan, Jordan, and Uganda, as well as the co-hosts, the government of Switzerland, and of course UNHCR, for bringing us all together for the Global Refugee Forum. With 57 participating states across the Euro-Atlantic and Eurasian regions, the OSCE, the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, is the world's largest regional security organization. The OSCE works for stability, peace, and democracy through political dialogue about shared values and through practical work that aims to make a lasting difference. The OSCE participating states have made several commitments to prevent and address statelessness. In this spirit, the Office of the High Commissioner on National Minorities and the Office for Democratic Institutions and Human Rights have worked in close collaboration with UNHCR towards achieving the vision of a world free from statelessness, where everyone can enjoy the right to nationality, including through joint publications, conferences, study visits, and quiet diplomacy. Over the years, through our collaborative efforts, we are pleased to see that progress has been achieved in the OSCE region. Building on our pledges made in 2019 at the high-level segment on statelessness, we are proud to announce the following joint pledge. The Office of the High Commissioner on National Minorities and the Office for Democratic Institutions and Human Rights pledge to build capacity and exchange good practices on addressing statelessness in OSCE participating states over the next 5 years by inter alia organizing one annual joint activity on addressing statelessness together with UNHCR. We will continue to keep the topic of statelessness high on the OSCE agenda. We look forward to our continued engagement on this topic in hope of bringing about further progress to realizing a world free from statelessness. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mitra. And we have been working very well with OSCE over the last few years. And we very much look forward to that joint initiative on an annual basis. So thank you very much indeed. Well, this really ends the first part of the session. But I'd like to finish this part, at least, by thanking all of you for your commitments. It's really encouraging. And we look forward to working with you on implementing those pledges over the coming years. The I Belong campaign will end next year, as I'm sure you all know, but we're really pleased that so much work has been done already for the next stage through the Global Alliance. It will be a multi-stakeholder initiative in order to achieve that vision of a world free from statelessness, where everyone has a right to nationality. One of the signature activities under the Global Alliance is a Solution Seekers Program, and that aims at accelerating the implementation of the concrete pledges on statelessness by states and regional and intergovernmental organizations. And of course, I do join others in thanking the Philippines and Côte d'Ivoire for their leadership with regard to this. It's going to be very important to bring in that whole of society approach. So thank you. And can I now move towards the next segment with our very great friend, who many of you I'm sure will know, Maha Mamo, who's a wonderful speaker, a wonderful colleague to work with over the last few years in promoting an end to statelessness. And I'm very pleased to pass over to you with a short video to introduce you to the Global Alliance.
It allows for a transformative vision to make statelessness a relic of the past so that everyone has equal access and the right to a nationality.
Because we cannot stop now. There are today millions of women and men, girls and boys around the world that are stateless. These are people that have no nationality and no access to rights.
we can permanently address the issue of statelessness only by working together.
Firstly, I think the Global Alliance is a critical opportunity to centre stateless people and ensure that they can claim power as leaders of change. Secondly, I'm really excited by the opportunity to share our learning and expertise with sister networks and partners in other regions, as well as to learn from them.
What inspires me about the collaboration in the Alliance is that it builds on the positive and it builds on diversity.
When we have solutions to the problem of statelessness, we're able to prevent differences between countries that may arise out of how they treat statelessness. We're able to establish an acceptable norm or a standard by which we can all agree to.
I think statelessness as an issue offers hope precisely because change is achievable and it's in sight.
From all of those myriad of problems, this issue, statelessness, is a fundamentally fixable one. And so we are confident that the Global Alliance, which targets the year 2030, that if we pull together and do the work and mobilize the resources, we can arrive at the year 2030 with every single person on Earth carrying a citizenship, a nationality, and participating fully in their own societies.
The Global Alliance unites us under a vision for a stateless free world. And it gives us the opportunity to collectively hold power to put towards a lasting impact, a legacy for future generations. This is how we end and address statelessness from ever happening in this world, by working together.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. My name is Mahamamu, a former stateless individual and now a passionate advocate for ending statelessness. It's a profound honor to be your moderator for today's crucial discussion on the issue of statelessness, having personally faced the complex and often unseen challenges of not having a nationality since birth. I'm fortunate to say that I have directly benefited from the results of the I Belong campaign, which played a pivotal role in acquiring my Brazilian nationality. The successful practices that were effective for me have paved the way for many others in Brazil and beyond, underscoring the transformative power of pledges turning into tangible results. Our panel today assembles a diverse group of experts and policymakers to eliminate the significance of multi-stakeholder engagement in addressing the present issue of statelessness. We'll focus on the future, especially on how the Global Alliance to End Statelessness can be a force for meaningful change. Throughout our discussion, we will dive into the unique value that the Global Alliance brings to the challenge of statelessness. We will also analyze the roles and contributions of different stakeholders, emphasizing how their collective efforts are not just important, but integral to the success and effectiveness of the Global Alliance. Thank you for joining us in the critical conversation. Before we start our discussion, allow me to introduce our esteemed panelists. First, we have Mr. Dennis Arvind Chan, who is the Chief Staff Counsel and Head of the Refugees and Stateless Persons Protection Unit of the Department of Justice of the Government of the Philippines. Next, we are joined by Mr. Paul Koraki, who is the Technical Advisor to the Office of the Keeper of the Seals of the Minister of Justice of Human Rights of the Republic of Côte d'Ivoire. We also have with us Mr. Aziz Bek Ashurov, the 2019 Nansen Laureate for his work on statelessness in Kyrgyzstan, who is also the coordinator of the Central Asian Network on Statelessness. And lastly, we are honored to have Ms. Karine Jabri, who is the Director of the Division of Programs of the Interparliamentarian Union. Their collective experiences and expertise will undoubtedly contribute to a rich and enlightening discussion. A few practical considerations before we start. I would like to inform you that Mr. Paul Korecki will speak in French. So please have your headsets ready. Also, we hope to have time for 15 minutes of Q&A at the end of our panel discussion. This is also a kind reminder for our panelists to kindly keep the interventions brief. Without further ado, let me turn to our panelists from the Philippines, Mr. Chan. In recent years, the Philippines has made notable advancement in addressing statelessness. In 2022, the country ratified the 1961 Convention on the Reduction of Statelessness and amended its nationality law to prevent statelessness among foundlingless. The Philippines has also emerged as regional leader in addressing the issue. What made the Philippines decide to join the Global Alliance and the Solution Seekers Program?
Thank you, Maha. Good afternoon, everyone, and to my fellow panelists here. The Philippines is truly grateful to the UNHCR and its civil society organizations that have been true leaders in our common aspiration to end statelessness. I wish to share that since the start of the I Belong campaign in 2014, the Philippines has built some foundations with a view to contributing to the common vision to end statelessness. This includes crafting our National Action Plan, enacting the Foundling Law, which ensures that no child will ever be stateless in the Philippines, and the Supreme Court's approval of the Rule on Facilitated Naturalization, the first ever judiciary-led initiative on nationality and statelessness. We closely work with the UNHCR and CSOs here in Manila and here in Geneva, where we are part of the core group of the Group of Friends of the I Belong campaign. However, we are nearing the 2024 deadline of this campaign, yet we have not solved the problem of statelessness. This naturally means that our important work has to continue beyond 2024, hence the Global Alliance and the Solution Seeker Program. What we need to do is to uplevel our collaboration with other countries that have carried the banner on this issue, such as the United States, Thailand, Australia, and Sweden, and expand that group to also include stakeholders who have more to say and contribute to the statelessness campaign. This is the rationale of the Global Alliance, and this vision of a more coordinated approach is the reason why the Philippines decided to join. For the Philippines, our vision is clear. The right to nationality is a fundamental human right. Through nationality, a person can have access to a wider array of rights and protect them from threats such as trafficking, exclusion from communities, and other challenges that impedes them from living fully. This is our advocacy and motivation, which is why the Philippines has been very vocal on this issue and why we continue to echo the call for more support.
Thank you, Mr. Shan, for sharing your insights. Mr. Korecki, la Côte d'Ivoire a pris des engagements forts pour prévenir et résoudre l'apatridie, notamment en ce qui concerne la possible adoption d'une loi sur le statut d'apatride et en s'engageant à mettre en œuvre des solutions pour les populations in situ qui résident dans le pays depuis les générations. Comment l'approche multipartite de l'Alliance mondiale peut-elle contribuer à accélérer la réalisation de ces objectifs?
Je vous remercie, Ma. Et comme je vous l'ai dit à l'entame, je suis heureux de vous connaître physiquement. Et l'un des atouts et qui a permis encore à la Côte d'Ivoire d'avancer, c'est que pour nous, dès le départ, l'apatride n'est pas une vue de l'esprit. Donc, je disais à Ma qu'on aura quand même plaisir de l'inviter en Côte d'Ivoire, parce que pour beaucoup, et je m'en suis rendu compte, on a une mauvaise vision ou image de l'apatride. Et j'ai eu l'idée, à un moment donné, pour donner une autre image de l'apatride, de demander à des enfants trouvés nés de parents inconnus, qui sont des apatrides, de faire des dessins. Et la population s'est rendue compte que l'enfant peut être un apatride. L'apatride n'est pas celui l'adulte qui vient prendre nos terres, qui vient voter. Non, c'est monsieur tout le monde. Alors, effectivement, la Côte d'Ivoire a pris 3 engagements. On aurait pu en prendre plus, mais on en a pris déjà un bon nombre en s'inscrivant dans la vision du haut commissaire en 2014 et en adoptant un plan d'action national d'éradication de l'apartheid. Et ce plan nous a permis, avec les lignes directrices tracées par, inscrites dans le plan mondial, d'avancer très vite. Je ne vais pas décliner tout ce qu'on a eu à faire, tous les jalons qu'on a franchis, mais le fait déjà d'adhérer à cette alliance mondiale prouve que la Côte d'Ivoire est convaincue que le règlement du problème de l'apartheid ne peut que se faire avec une vision de règlement planétaire, je dirais même pas mondial. Et on a pris 2 autres engagements, enfin nous envisageons de les prendre, mais je pense qu'on va les prendre. C'est déjà d'adopter une loi sur le statut des apatrides, après avoir adopté une loi sur le statut des réfugiés. Donc, on a scindé les 2 populations, celle des réfugiés et celle des apatrides. Ensuite, nous allons prendre un certain nombre de mesures, mais c'est également des lois. Et c'est là où l'adhésion à la Convention mondiale, à l'Alliance mondiale intéressante, c'est qu'on n'invente pas la roue. En ce qui concerne notre corpus législatif, il y a beaucoup de failles, ne serait-ce que les modes d'acquisition de la nationalité. Nous avons la naturalisation comme tout le monde, mais on s'est rendu compte que certains pays avaient le mode d'acquisition par possession d'état de national. Et pour le conseiller technique que je suis, lorsque je fais des projets de loi, je rédige un projet de loi, il est plus facile pour mon ministre de les faire passer en disant que ça existe déjà ailleurs. Et voici les impacts. Donc, c'est une réponse. Pour nous, il était évident d'adhérer à cette alliance mondiale. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Koreki. Je suis très heureuse et je serai ravie de voir là-bas, de voir vous visiter. Mr. Ashurov, you played a key role in helping the Kyrgyz Republic become the first state to resolve all known statelessness cases, for which you also won the Nansen Award in 2019. In your current role as coordinator of the Central Asian Network of Statelessness, you work to share best practices to prevent and reduce statelessness in the region and beyond. With your network poised to become a member of the new Global Alliance, could you elaborate on how you plan to leverage these experiences to support the Alliance's global efforts?
Thank you so much, Maho. In turn, I would like to greet all of you. Bonjour. It's a great privilege for me to be here with you in the sidelines of this global forum. It's the first time for me to be with this such diverse community together. So indeed, it's for me incredible. I'm incredible honored to have contributed to Kyrgyz Republic's landmark achievement on resolving all known cases of statelessness in my country. That effort was recognized globally with the Nansen Award in 2019, and that fact that the Nansen Award, for the first time in its history, 70 years history, was dedicated to the stateless issue is, I think it's great, really important, and shows that stateless issue is becoming a burning issue on international agenda. Yeah, so You know, back in 1991, when USSR collapsed, me and my family become at risk of stateless person. So we passed all the very bureaucratic barriers of to becoming a citizens of new independent country. So I know in personal experience that how feel people who are in legal limbo, you know. So uh, um, and now almost 20 years when me and my colleagues from civil society, lawyers who was dedicated, who motivated to help stateless persons, founded the organization to provide free legal aid case by case to stateless person. And 6 years how we found our regional network. We were very lucky because we have vivid examples of on the face of European network, you know. So great thanks for our colleagues, ISI and MFI for this support continued. So now we come to this global forum with new pledge. We have 4 pledges actually, 3 with multi-stakeholders pledge with support our governments to eradicating stateless. But one of them, the main, I think it's a pledge to be a member of new founding Global Alliance on and Statelessness. So, and we also encourage others to join us and to be member of this alliance. And you know, in our journey to address statelessness in Kyrgyz Republic taught us the importance of collaboration, importance of political will, and of course, necessity of including the necessity on involving those most affected people, stateless in themselves, in finding solutions. So we are here with the 3 joining to the alliance. We have 3 focus pillars. One of the first one is collaborative actions, as the Global Alliance plans to build on the concrete achievements and momentum of the I Belong campaign. Our network as a member of Alliance can certainly bring to it our unique sub-regional experience, primarily our successful practices of cooperation with the governments to reduce statelessness. By encouraging governments and other stakeholders to work together, we can create more robust, effective solution to end statelessness. Second focus, empowering voices. Central to our approach is elevating the voices of stateless people. Their experiences and insights are invaluable in shaping tailored policies, and we aim to ensure that these voices are not just heard, but are influential in the decision-making process. And last focus is sharing the best practices. We plan to actively share the strategies in reducing and preventing stateless, as well as learn best practices from other actors grappling with the similar challenges. Building on our regional experience, we will advocate the adoption of legal safeguards against the statelessness globally. So in the Alliance, our vision is clear. A world where every person has a nationality, where the right to belong is universal and unchallenged. This is more than a mission. It should be a promise of all of us to future generations that no one will be left behind. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ashurov. Ms. Jabri, the Interparliamentary Union is a member of the task force which has developed the foundational elements of the Global Alliance. What do you see as the role of the Interparliamentary Union in reaching the Alliance's objectives?
Thank you, Maha, and good afternoon to everyone. First, let me say it's a real pleasure to be here representing the Interparliamentary Union, but also, most importantly, as a member of the task force that worked to develop the foundational elements of this global alliance to end statelessness. The task force brought together a very diverse group of stakeholders from stateless-led organizations, civil society organizations, IGO, UN agencies, all committed to pursue efforts to end statelessness globally. And diversity, commitment, respect, and unity, this is what characterized the task force. And I believe these are as well the foundational core elements and the spirit of the Global Alliance to End Statelessness. The Global Alliance is this collaborative, multi-stakeholder platform which aims at ending statelessness by bringing the strengths of everyone together around the table towards a common goal. So it has been a privilege for the IPU to be part of this effort, and we really look forward to joining the Alliance next year, and we're really excited to see coming to life in 2024. So why the IPU and the Global Alliance? The IPU, as you know, is the World Organization of National Parliaments. It brings together 180 national parliaments from around the world working for peace, democracy, and development. For the past 15 years, we've been working very closely with UNHCR, and we're committed to support the work of parliaments in order to enhance their action with regard to statelessness. So we've been working on raising awareness of our members, opening spaces for exchange and learning, and providing tools for parliamentarians to take action. We've seen change, we've seen enhanced awareness and enhanced political will, but of course this is not enough. Now, parliaments are key actors in the global effort required to end statelessness. As you know, they have the power to adopt laws that can facilitate access to nationality. They have the power to amend laws to eliminate discrimination that can lead to statelessness. They oversee the work of the executive, they can question and control the pace of progress, and quite importantly, they are the link with the people. And as public figures, they contribute to social change and social cohesion, and they can challenge misunderstandings, stereotypes, and be the voice of the voiceless. So it is important to bring that actor to the table as well. Parliaments can be instrumental in contributing to progress at the national level. But of course, we cannot do this alone, and this is why the Global Alliance is so important and it is so timely. Over the past years, we've seen a lot of progress achieved and a lot of efforts being held around the world, but it is now the time to pool these efforts together to bring the strength, the knowledge, and energy to speed up and amplify change. And it is about making use of each and everyone's powers, responsibilities, and added values to build these synergies, bridge the gaps, and complement efforts for greater impact. The Alliance is also a very practical and a pragmatic initiative, and I want to mention the 3 C's of the Alliance. The Alliance aims to convene, it aims to capacitate with access to knowledge and tools and thematic working groups and regional labs, and it aims to catalyze change with the, as we know, the Solution Seekers program. So it is all about finding solutions together, and this is why it is so important for the IPU. From our end, we have renewed our pledges to this GRF, and we will be joining the Alliance. We will continue to raise awareness. We will continue to capacitate and engage our members to support the Alliance. We see the Alliance as a tool to help us in our work, but also we see it as a wonderful opportunity to contribute to this global effort that is required to end statelessness. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jabri. I would now like to pose the following question to our panelists. Please provide a concise and concrete response, please limiting your answer to 2 minutes, unfortunately. As we look to the future, what gives you hope about the possibility of ending statelessness that could inspire our audience? And we can start by Mr. Dennis.
Listening to my fellow panelists here this afternoon is what gives the Philippines hope that statelessness could be eliminated. There are many like-minded individuals who passionately and steadfastly work for and with stateless persons and populations at risk of statelessness. Statelessness is, of course, a complex and challenging concern that remains prevalent 10 years after the I Belong campaign and the global campaign on statelessness. But there is growing awareness of statelessness globally over the years. This can further inspire collective action to identify and protect stateless persons and populations at risk of statelessness, as well as reduce and prevent statelessness from happening. We also find comfort from our stakeholders and other actors who manifested their statelessness-related commitments and pledges during the Global Refugee Forum. Lastly, we must always keep in mind that in the fight against statelessness, the center of our work will always be the stateless persons and those at risk of statelessness. To end statelessness, we must continue to empower and engage with them, echo their voices, and listen to their lived experiences. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shan. Mr. Koriki?
Alors, le mot même alliance ne peut que donner espoir. On parle d'alliance mondiale. Et c'est vrai que campagne Belong, j'appartiens, était très difficile de compréhension. Mais là, l'alliance, c'est-à-dire que tout le monde se réconcilie. C'est une réconciliation mondiale, en commençant dans chacun de nos pays. Et chez nous, de plus en plus, on a la justice, que vous connaissez tous, mais de plus en plus, il y a ce qu'on appelle la médiation, qui est une justice alternative. Et la région d'où je viens, les magistrats, en général, s'ennuient. Parce que la première justice, c'est la justice traditionnelle. Et lorsque j'étais directeur de la protection des droits de l'homme, suite à un récit qui m'a été fait d'une personne qui a pu régler des problèmes de voisinage, je m'en suis approprié et je me rends compte que l'esprit de l'alliance, c'est ça. C'est-à-dire, vous avez deux voisins qui sont en conflit, propriétaires chacun d'une maison. Lorsque vous leur faites comprendre qu'ils en ont encore pour 50 ans, 30 ans à vivre et que s'ils ne règlent pas leurs problèmes maintenant, c'est pendant 30 ans, 40 ans qu'ils auront des problèmes qui seront en conflit. Et parfois, ça entraîne un déclic et on se rend compte qu'il faut les régler rapidement. Donc, le fait de penser planétaire, de penser au-delà de son pays, ici, j'ai la chance d'avoir un ami burkinabé, il pourra vous confirmer que la Côte d'Ivoire a toujours voulu collaborer ou intégrer ses voisins dans ce souci de règlement sous-régional et au-delà.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Koreki. Mr. Ashraf.
During answering to this question, I want to share with you my thoughts, which I write down during a side event. It was linked just before the global forum. So my optimism for ending statelessness is fueled by growing global recognition that statelessness is not an isolated issue affecting a few, but a crucial global challenge impacting all of us. Every day, more people understand that eradicating statelessness is essential for a fairer and safer world. This collective awakening is crucial. Today, we see more and more stateless voices gaining attention. These voices, which were once like faint echoes in the distance, are now joining together to form a strong and united force that cannot be overlooked, impossible to ignore. I believe that our collective action can and will create a world where every person belongs, where the right to nationality is not just a privilege, but a given. So let us seize this moment, let us act together, not tomorrow, but today, to consign stateless to history. Together we can turn the hope of millions into a reality. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ashraf. Ms. Javri?
Thank you, Maha. So 2 reasons for me to hope. I think in today's world, launching a global alliance is a bold thing, and it's a very positive sign of hope. It sends a very strong message, as you just said, that ending statelessness is an issue of global concern, a global objective where we all have a part to play. And it is a sign of solidarity, that solidarity and cooperation actually exist, that human rights matter, and that working together across the board is possible and can make the difference. So that's my first reason to hope. The second one is what we've all said and we all know, is that ending statelessness is achievable. We know the tools, we know how, we know that it's a question of will, of commitment, and of working together, but we can get there. So I think it's a question of just continuing the fight, and we will get there. Thank you.
Thank you so much all for your important and insightful contributions, and we have always to keep hope alive in order to achieve that. With that, I would like to open the floor for 2 questions, unfortunately for the time, for any of our panelists or to Ms. Streeks. If anyone has any questions, if you want to say any comments, we have time for 2 interventions. Okay. We have 1 question.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. This is Colin Messi. I'm the Executive Director of WACSOF, West African Civil Society Forum. I just want to make a quick comment, commending Cote d'Ivoire and Senegal in West Africa, and also ECOWAS region to have put in place a model law to actually reduce, eradicate statelessness in West Africa. The model law hasn't been adopted yet, but is on the way, and especially Mr. Koreki, who is there, he has been a great actor on making that in place. So thank you very much for your work. Thank you.
Thank you. Merci de nouveau, Mr. Koreki. Any other question? Okay, we have the last question.
Gracias. ¿Puedo hablar en español?
Sí.
Gracias. Pues realmente no voy a hacer una pregunta, voy a hacer un anuncio. Soy María Claudia Pulido, trabajo en la Comisión Interamericana de Derechos Humanos y quiero compartir con este foro que el 13 de diciembre pasado la Comisión Interamericana de Derechos Humanos aprobó la resolución número 323 sobre la protección del derecho a la nacionalidad, prohibición arbitraria de nacionalidad, prevención, reducción y erradicación de la apatridia. La Comisión formula recomendaciones importantes a los estados y solo quería hacer ese anuncio. Muchas gracias.
Oh, gracias. Pero tú puedes hablar de novo de inglês, pelo jeito não tenha uma interlocução
thank you.
espanhol. Desculpa.
Okay, I just want to announce the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights just issued a resolution on nationality, prevention and eradication of the statelessness. And this is the first time that the Commission approved this kind of resolution, and this is directed to the states of the Organization of American States. So I just want to share this very good news. Thank you so much.
Muchas gracias. Okay, we have time to take 2 more questions. Okay, Alexis.
Hi, everyone. Son? Yes. Alexis Ivashuk here. I'm with Upper Tree Network. It's a coalition of stateless individuals, communities, and stateless-led organizations in the European Union. And we noticed that there are good practices in different state actors, whether it's in respect to protecting child rights to nationality, freedom of movement, and so on and so on. But we noticed that state actors don't really talk to each other about these good practices on their own. And so, yes, we need global alliance, we need collective action, but we could really use some good action, independent action, on, independently from different state actors to just talk to each other and maybe copy over some of these good practices that you have. And of course, if you have a hard time noticing these good practices, stateless-led organizations are happy to help in pointing these out. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexis. We still have time for one last intervention. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This topic is very close to my heart. My name is Stephen Parkwall. I'm a National Minister of Peace Building from South Sudan. And I used to live as a refugee in Africa for quite some time. And I think it is very progressive that what is happening in West Africa is being done. Only Tanzania has been doing well. I think African states need to communicate among themselves, because children are born in African countries and never acquire citizenship. And we come to Europe, we spend only 5 years in Australia and Canada, we become citizens of those countries. Just by being born in one place, you become automatically a citizen. But in our African continent, we live in our countries for so many years, our children never acquired citizenship. I'm so thrilled to hear that this is happening in the world today. I'm a citizen of the United States of America and also a citizen of South Sudan. And we thank America and the rest of the world for doing this for us, but we should be doing it for ourselves and also in Latin America. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would like to thank so much our panelists for their commitment to the cause of ending statelessness and for sharing their important perspectives. Thank you. Merci beaucoup. To our audience, thank you for your interest in the issue, and especially for the people that they are online as well. I hope you leave this panel with a renewed sense of urgency and a clearer understanding of how each of us can contribute to this vital cause. There is a saying, alone, I can go fast. Together, we can go further and way beyond. I'm inspired by the progress we've seen and the commitment demonstrated here today. The road ahead in ending statelessness is undoubtedly challenging. But the discussions we've had underscore the potential for expediting solutions and the impact we can have when we work together, when we give people, stateless people as well, a place to speak and share their own personal stories as well. Let's keep this momentum going and make the vision of the Global Alliance a reality. Thank you so much, and everyone has the right to belong. Thank you.